Welcome to The Investigators. I'm Vanessa Murphy, investigative reporter at KLAS TV in Las Vegas. We have Kim Small, CEO of Signs of Hope. Tell me what you do.
Signs of Hope has served the Southern Nevada area for over 52 years now, serving victims, survivors of sexual assault as well as human trafficking. We provide education, we provide counseling. We have two dedicated hotlines, one for human trafficking and the other for sexual assault. We have advocates that go with our clients to court through the judicial process. We have advocates that are working with the prison population, those inmates that are victimized while incarceration, as well as trained advocates that are just answering our hotline 24/7.
And some people might remember Rape Crisis Center.
Yes.
How does that tie in?
It's a rebranding. It's the same. We're still serving victims of rape, unfortunately, but now we've incorporated human trafficking as well. So we rebranded, and also rape is not a comfortable word to say nor hear. So we have a more softer approach. Signs of Hope.
It's interesting you bring that up about the word rape, because I feel like as a reporter, I try to use sexual assault unless I see that word in like an arrest report or a court document, because it is still used in those situations.
Yes, it is. It's used by law enforcement. We, in this field that I'm in, we typically use sexual assault.
Tell me what you see that is specific to the Las Vegas area that might be different somewhere else.
We have visitors that come into our city that believe that prostitution is legal. What happens here stays here, and anything goes. And with alcohol consumption and a disposable amount of money that they can play with, unfortunately, we see these myths fabricated in our fair community.
How often do you see someone partying on the Las Vegas Strip and roofied, like a situation like that? Does it happen more than we think, less than we think?
It does happen more than we think. It does happen often. We have victims that end up in our care, or our advocates are called out because they're roofied, because they are not monitoring their drinks, or just sometimes it's just a slip of eyesight and things can happen. And we do a lot of campaigning around party smart. Arrive together, stick together, leave together, making sure that you are aware of who you're with, but also if you leave your drink, don't come back to it.
So what other advice would you have if you are going out and you want to have fun and you're going to be drinking?
Just be cognizant of who you're with and making sure that your friend group stays together, that you travel in pairs, if not larger groups, that you are sharing your location with your friend group, that you are not separated from your friend group. A lot of predators want to separate you, especially those that are intoxicated. They want to get you away from your friend group. And also we suggest that if someone is not going out with you, let them share your location with them as well, so they're aware of your whereabouts. And also just communicate to one another.
What I have noticed around the Strip is drivers offering rides, saying they're a cab service, but you might not be able to verify. Is that something you've noticed too here?
It happens. And at ride shares, taxis, we tell our party goers to make sure it's clearly marked, make sure that they are who they say they are. Don't offer your name up first. Ask them who they're here to pick up, making sure that the license plates match, that you see tags in the taxis, just really doing your due diligence, and do not be afraid to say no thank you. Don't get in. Don't be don't feel like you're going to hurt their feelings. This is your safety. So say no.
What are you noticing specific to Las Vegas about trafficking?
Trafficking is taking two forms in Las Vegas: sex trafficking as well as labor trafficking. And we're seeing more instances of labor trafficking. And we're working with law enforcement to do more outreach to combat this situation. It is a problem that has to be addressed, but unfortunately, it takes trust. You have to build up the trust with the survivors, with the victims, and making sure that they feel comfortable. And so, trust looks like going out and doing outreaches, knowing their language, speaking their language, but just being patient and when they're ready to come forward, when they're ready to take your resources, then we're here for them.
Can you give me an example of labor trafficking you have seen without names?
Yes, massage parlors, um, taco stands that we see and not all, but
Yes.
a large majority of them are labor trafficked. I was made aware of that by my team because I have, unbeknownst to me, frequent those taco stands. They have good food,
Right.
but just being aware how they all look alike. And my team, my human trafficking team, Rise, made me aware of that. And so they're working hard with law enforcement to combat this issue, this growing issue.
And again, you said certainly not all of them,
No, not
but
all
I
of them.
think when I see that, I think, oh, that's their
Own
possibly
business.
small business.
Sometimes that's the truth, and sometimes it is that way, and then sometimes it is not. They're working for someone.
And massage
They're
parlors.
massage parlors.
What are you seeing as far as sex trafficking?
Sex trafficking hasn't changed, unfortunately. It is still prevalent. We are seeing an age drop, more transitional age youth, meaning youth ages 16 to 24,
Oh my goodness.
largest population that we're finding this is happening in. And it's something that they've been groomed by a loved one, a trusted individual, or it's something that they've just seen in their life. It's survival as well.
I think I've lived here since late 2013, and when I first moved here, I did not see a lot about prostitution not being legal in Las Vegas. Now I see more signage.
In our airports, right?
Yes, in the airport. So there
exactly.
is more of an effort, but should there be more?
There is always room for more. There's always room for improvement. The signs that you see in the airports, the sex is not, sold here. It's not legally sold here. We should see that everywhere. We should see the Signs of Hope hotline number across the valley, and we're working very diligently to get our number out there. But making our community more aware, prevention and education is key too.
Thank you. Let's take a quick break. Welcome back to The Investigators. I'm Vanessa Murphy, sitting here with Kim Small, CEO of Signs of Hope. So I know that you can't comment on criminal cases specifically. We talked about that prior to this, totally fair. But one case that I have covered recently is an alleged group sexual assault by 8th graders. This is a story that, quite frankly, is shocking, and I've thought about it a lot. And again, without asking you to comment on that specifically, how often do you assist in cases that involve underage perpetrators?
At Signs of Hope, we don't work with perpetrators. We work with the victims of the assault. And more times than not, we do get referrals for youth that have been assaulted. what is concerning and what is concerning to us is what what happened, what started the assault. What did the perpetrator experience or see? We know that a lot of our youth are exposed to social media and pornography, and as well as just violence around in the community, on the news, unfortunately, in movies, on television. What we are focused on at Signs of Hope is the victim, their safety, confidentiality, and trauma-informed resources for this victim, because it's going to take a while for their healing. And we at Signs of Hope work with the victims of sexual assault on their healing journey.
And I think even for myself as a parent, you think about how did anyone have an idea to commit something like that? Again, innocent until proven guilty, but I saw a clip of the video myself. It's like, where does that even come from? And you did mention social media. Is that?
It is part of it. It is not. It isn't all of it. It is part of it. It is something that we've noticed. Exposure to these violent crimes. Youth don't always understand boundaries. They don't always understand consent. And so they may not understand what they're doing is wrong. And so it is important to have education with students, parents, caregivers, educators, for them to understand and for us to teach consent and understanding boundaries and understanding that harm to others is not acceptable.
Any other advice for parents and guardians?
I would suggest a safe space. It is very startling when you hear news about assault or your child is involved in something like this. And so you want to create a safe space for kids to come forward. They need a trusted adult. They need to be heard without being judged. They need to be able to speak freely and be educated. We want them to come to us and say, this is what I've experienced, so that we can end the cycle of re-victimization.
And in this case, I mentioned to you, according to court documents, it was a student who had seen the video and went and told their parents, and that sort of helped start the investigation. I will say one thing I have appreciated is I make the mistake of reading comments a lot under my stories, but one thing I have appreciated is a lot of people have posted about the victim, that they hope that he is getting the resources he needs and they feel for him. So that
is great to hear.
Yeah. Another case I am going to bring up, and again, you can't comment on this specifically, I understand, but I covered the criminal case closely for Nathan Chasing Horse, sexual predator. It was a guilty verdict. But what really stood out to me about this was the prosecutors, part of their argument to the jury was, even though there was no DNA evidence, it was the witness testimony that was enough. And that helped convict him. And my question for you is, how often are there victims of sexual assault who may not go to the police and may not follow through with a case because they think, it's my word against this person's? And that could really discourage them if they didn't get checked out immediately after.
It happens a lot. It does happen a lot. We'll have victims that will call us, or we're called in. Our advocates will talk to them about the choices they have, the resources, but we always meet them where they're at. And if they're not ready to file a report, that's fine. We're going to continue to work with them. We're still going to continue to offer counseling. And sometimes it just takes time. it takes time. And my mom always says, give time. It takes time for them to build up the strength and the courage to come forward and to file that report. And we're there for that. And we've seen that a lot, and we applaud them. And I applaud my advocates for standing with them, and it could take years, but really providing them with the support. So when they're ready, we're there to be. We're there to hold their hands through it.
And I mean, for me, most cases here seem to result in a plea deal of some sort. So we don't see many trials. We really don't. We don't see many criminal trials.
I think
at
it's
least
like 2-3% that are.
it's but in this, it did go to trial, and the victims had to take the stand, and the defense attorney had to do his job and try to poke holes in their stories. And it was ugly. It was uncomfortable. Again, he was doing his job. But it was a reminder of, here's another hurdle for victims of why they may not come forward. But I know that these women, the end result, he was convicted and their voice was heard. Let's take a break. Welcome back to The Investigators. I'm Vanessa Murphy with Kim Small of Signs of Hope. So tell me what you are doing in schools.
We have age-appropriate curriculum where we're educating the youth on healthy versus unhealthy relationships. We're talking about sexual violence. We're talking about human trafficking. And it goes from elementary, actually even we'll go down to, oh my gosh, I can't think, kindergarten. Yes.
That's okay.
all the way up to high school.
Kindergarten.
Yes, healthy versus unhealthy. And it could be in terms of an adult, your relationship with an adult, with another student. But we cover the gamut on that, and we're in CCSD as well as charter schools.
What would you say to a parent who might think talking about any of this in kindergarten sounds early?
It's never too early. It is never too early to expose your child, to educate them. Now, there's an appropriate way of doing so, but it is never too early.
And if you had a wish list for your organization, what would it be?
Selfishly, it would be not to exist, because we're living in a different world. But I know that we're far from that. And so I'm grateful that we are here to give resources and support to victim survivors. I would not be the CEO if I didn't ask for volunteers, if I didn't ask for items that victims need, and if I didn't ask for just money to keep the doors open. But we can't do our jobs without the help of trusted volunteers who are trained. They go through a 50-hour advocacy university training. Wow. And it's not something that we are involved, or we're the only sole providers. We have our community volunteers that come in, our judges, our DA, our domestic violence shelter partners. They come in and they educate our volunteers on what they do and how they're connected to Signs of Hope. So we start our spring advocacy university March 2nd, and we're asking for the community, if interested, please go on our website and sign up.
Where does most of your funding come from, generally?
Government grants.
Oh, wow.
A lot of government funding, and it is good until it isn't, unfortunately. You know, we had that shut down. And so we're looking for unrestricted funding. If you want to just make a donation to Signs of Hope, and the money, 90% of our funding goes to the program. It goes to our victim survivors. And so know that your money is not going into someone's pocket. It is going into the community. It's being reinvested. And so if you want to make a donation, we'll happily take that.
How long have you been the CEO here?
3 years.
3 years. Mm-hmm. Tell me one thing that surprised you.
When I first accepted the role as CEO, coming from a traditional nonprofit setting where it was a lot of donations and corporate partnerships and foundations, I sat and I thought, how do you fundraise for sexual assault? And you would think that people would be more willing and more giving, and they are, but sometimes they don't want their names associated with such a horrific crime. And I understand that too. And those that do give, they give so generously and so freely, and we're so appreciative. But that was my first thought. How do you fundraise around sexual assault?
Last question for you. How do you make sure you are okay? And how do you make sure your volunteers and staff are okay? Because I know from covering these cases and reading the reports, most of this, if not all of it, is extremely upsetting and graphic and just horrific.
Yeah. I don't do a very good job of taking care of myself. I try, but I worry more about my staff. And so my goal is to pour into them so they can pour into our clients. And that's Wellness Wednesdays. We offer 2 hours of self-care every week during work hours for them to do what they need to do to take care of themselves. And if they have a hard time, a hard case, a hard call, hotline call, they are free to take a break. We are super flexible with our staff because we know that the work that they're doing is really hard.
So if you are the victim of sexual assault or you know someone, tell them where to go.
You can call our hotline, area code 702-366-1640, or contact us on our website, sohlv.org.
Okay. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining
Yes,
us.
I appreciate this opportunity.
Of course. Thanks for watching.